Welcome to Live DAF, your online DAF Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back to today's DAF. Bava Metzia DAF Lamed Beis. We begin at the Mishnah, which is around 10 lines off the top of the Amud. Matzah berefes. Okay, this fellow notices an animal which appears to be lost, but it's inside a barn, which is somewhat secure. Not entirely, but somewhat. Ein chayav ba, leave it alone. You don't have to tend to it, because that doesn't constitute hashavas aveda. Bishas Rab, however, if she finds it roaming the streets, chayav ba, you have to take care of it and return it to its owner. Now, suppose this fellow is a kayin and he notices the lost item in a cemetery, which would involve his becoming tamei. Lo yitami lo, he should not approach the aveda at the expense of his own purity. Now, suppose an ordinary person notices a lost item on the street and his father is walking along and says, look, don't go over and distract yourself right now. Imam Ali Aviv, one second. Imam Ali Aviv Hitamei. Now let's say, in a non-Hashavas Aveda context, okay, firstly we speak about a regular case of Kibul Ava'im. A father instructs his son, a Kayin, to go become Tamei. I need something, please go there and become Tamei for me. You don't listen to him. Or, in a case of Hashavas Aveda, Oisha Amarle al Tachser, okay, a non-Kayin, a regular, ordinary Israel. Father tells son, I don't want you getting distracted and busy, don't go returning lost items. So in both cases, basically, father is misinstructing his son, right? He's advising him to do something improper. In both, we say, Lo yishma, lo, you should not be listening to your father. Hashem's directive overrides. Okay, now we shift to a new concept. Perika, helping a fellow Jew unload his overladen donkey, and Te'ina, helping him load up his animal. Right? There are two mitzvahs in the Torah. You're meant to come to your friend's assistance when he needs your help unloading or loading. Now let's say you did it a number of times for the same person. Parak viton, you unloaded, you unloaded, and he's still in trouble. Even if it involves doing it over and over again, if he falters, you have to go help him out. Shenamar azoiv, that's one tazoiv again. Repetitive indicates repetition over and over again. Halach v'yashavloi. Suppose owner, who's in trouble, whose animal's in trouble, just detaches himself, disengages, sits down on the side. Halach v'yashavloi v'amar, and he tells his fellow Jews coming to the rescue, look, it's your mitzvah, come help me. I don't have to be involved. It's your mitzvah, not mine. V'amar hayil v'alecha mitzvah, since you have the mitzvah, go ahead. If you want to do a mitzvah and help me out, unload my animal. I'm not going to be involved. For me, it's not a mitzvah. For me, it's business. For you, it's a mitzvah. Do it yourself. Interesting. Potter. So now, the newcomer doesn't have to help him. Shenamar, Pasuk says, if you want you to help him in his efforts, fine. Imai. But if he's abandoning the scene, you're not responsible. But let's say the driver was unable. He's an older man. He's unwell. Then you have to go to come help him out. Even if he's not involved. Even if he doesn't want to lend a hand. Because he's not able. Mitzvah minat Torah lifrik, avaloi litain. Minat Torah, you have a mitzvah to unload a collapsing animal, but you have no mitzvah to load him up. The Gemara will deal with this. It just means to say you can charge for helping him load, but not for unloading. Rabbi Shimon Omer af litain. You could even charge him, even when it comes to litain, to loading, to helping him load up, you must do it free of charge, as per any other mitzvah. One final point, or basically the Eimer, we notice that this fellow piled it up. He overloaded his animal beyond its, capacity. Ein zokakloy. Now you don't have to help him. Shenemar tachas masoi. You notice his animal crouching underneath an appropriate load. Masoi sheyachalamid boy. But if he's overladen, then it's the owner's fault. He doesn't need your help. Amarava. Refes she'amru. The Mishnah speaks about finding an animal in a barn. Ein chaybo, right? You don't have to tend to it. Why? Ein matav, ein mishameres. Although it's not fully secure, it's not mishamer, it's not like locked up, but it's not a situation where the animal would sort of be inclined to run away from the refes. It's pretty much a hospitable place. It's inviting, and therefore you don't have to concern yourself that perhaps the animal will run away. And you deem it as safe and secure. You don't have to tend to it. How does Rava know? Because Eino Masa, we know that it's not a situation which triggers an escape. Mishnah says you don't have to take it and return it. Evidently, we deem it safe and secure. On the other hand, it's not fully safe, it's fully secure. Because otherwise, why even discuss it, right? From the fact that the Mishnah has to go and tell us that you don't have to return it. Because if in fact it's fully secure and fully locked in there, well, obviously you don't have to worry about it, right? Imagine if you would find the animal out in the street, right? In an unsafe, unsecure setting. So taking that animal and putting it into a locked barn would be sufficient, right? We learned this the other day. You don't have to place it in the owner's hands. You put it into his property, provided that it's safe and secure. So if a locked barn suffices for returning an Aveda, is there a need to even speak about leaving it inside if you found it inside? Why wouldn't you just leave it there, right? So apparently, the barn discussed in the Mishnah, is speaking where it's not fully locked and secure. Shmamino, that proves our point that finding it there allows you to leave it. Mishnah which says that you find it in the barn, you can leave it. That's when it's within the municipal boundaries of the city, so it's pretty close by. Oh, so apparently when the Mishnah contrasts the barn animal to the street animal, where you have to return it, that's speaking even if it's within the tchum, because it's out in the streets. Although it's close to the city, it's close to the residential area, but nevertheless it's out in the open, it's deemed lost. Ika de masla sefa. Others apply this interpretation to the next part of the Mishnah, which says you find the animal roaming the streets, you have to return it. That's only if it's outside the tchum. So number one, it's in the street. Number two, it's at a distance. So you have to go round it up. Apparently, the berefis, if you found it inside the barn, even if it's far from town, still, leave it alone because it's deemed safe and secure. What if we're faced with a conflict between mitzvahs kibud avayim and another mitzvah in the Torah? Suppose father tells a kohen, go into the Beis HaKvaros for me. Or alternatively, a regular father tells his son, I don't want you tending to the Aveda. Do you listen or not? How do we know we don't listen to father in these cases? Yeah, you're meant to have fear for father and mother, but Rashi explains the words Ani Hashem denotes that Hashem's honor overrides, stands above everything else. You and your father are bound to Hashem's directives. And therefore, when it's a matter of making a choice between this or that, of course, we listen to Hashem. Okay, so apparently this is derived from this pasuk, because the Torah speaks about keeping Shabbos and adhering to Hashem's mitzvahs, even at the expense of kibud avayim. But if not for the pasuk pointing this out, what would I think? We listen to father. Why? Father is telling us to do an isser. V'amai. Why? Hayasei. Listening to father is a mitzvah saseh, a positive commandment, but it's pitted against what? It's up against a double violation. Right? We have two cases. Case where father instructs the kohen to become tamei. There's an asay of Kedosh and Tiyu. There's a lois asay as well. Right? Not to become tamei. And the same with the nefesh le'tamei Kedosh and Tiyu. Rashi brings in a lamed alf on the bottom. And the same, similarly regarding Hashavas Aveda. He says, ignore the Aveda. Well, he's telling you to ignore two things. Mitzvah Hasei, Hashet Teshivim, right? And Alois Hasei, Loisichel Yisal, which we also had a couple of days ago. So bottom line, why would I even consider listening to father when he's up against two things? It's an asay of kibbud avim versus Elois asay and an asay on the other side, and of course that doesn't justify. At most, an asay can override Elois asay. Ramban in Chumash, by the way, says asay is an expression of ava to Hashem, and that overrides yira. Elois asay denotes fear. So yeah, if it's one against one, but not when it's an asay against Elois asay and an asay. So why does the pasuk have to even bring this out? Istrach, there's a point. Perhaps I would say kibbud avim stands higher. Since we find that the Torah connects honor for parents to Hashem's honor, Shenemar, as the pasuk says, Shenemar kan, over here by kibbud avim it says kabed savicha simecha. V'nemar lahalon, and in similar fashion, in describing the kabed of Hashem, it says kabed Hashem yehoincha. So perhaps we equate the two, and they're sort of on the same plane. Hilkach, let's say, isolate. So perhaps listen to father even at the expense of mitzvahs. Kamashblan. Here comes the brisa based on the extra pasuk. We do not listen to father in this case, and the rationale behind that is, as we said, because everybody, you and your father, are bound to Hashem. Okay, now let's go back to the Mishnah. You're meant to help load or unload. Mitzvah m'natar lifrig avaloi litain. Now, what does this mean? My avaloi litain. There's no mitzvah to help him load. Only unload. Does the Mishnah mean there's no obligation to help your friend load up his truck, load up his animal? Really? Why is unloading better? Because the pasuk says azav tazav imay. You notice this man's animal collapsing beneath its load. Go help him unload, alleviate that load. Well, guess what? Loading up is also a mitzvah. Help him load up his packages. So what's the difference? Rather, Ella, the Mishnah didn't mean that. The Mishnah meant you have a right to charge. Mitzvah m'natar lifrik b'chinam. Unloading has to be done free of charge. But when it comes to loading, there you can charge. Ella b'schar. You're not meant to do it free of charge. Rather, you can charge a fee. And the Gemara soon will explain why. Reb Shimon disagrees. Reb Shimon Omer, both are meant to be done free of charge. Af litam b'chinam, even loading up is meant to be free. Tanina lahad tan rabbana. So our Mishnah supports the brisa, which also presents this discrepancy between loading and unloading. Prika b'chinam, tina b'schar. Unloading is for free. Loading up is for a fee. That's the Tanakama. Shimon Omer, Zuvazu b'chinam, both are done free of charge. Why? My time, my rabbana. Why did rabbana differentiate? The answer is like this. Why does the Torah have to actually point to both activities? Help him load, help him unload, if they're both on the same level. Because if Reb Shimon is correct, that they're both meant to be done for free, why doesn't the Torah just say, help him load up? Now, load up isn't so, you're not coming to the rescue, right? You're helping him, you're assisting him in loading it up, right? And there's no need to even say that you have to go help him unload where his animal's collapsing, poor fellow, right? I would say on my own, even when it comes to helping him load up, which isn't such a critical situation. His animal isn't suffering at that point. But like a chasar kiss, he's not about to lose his animal, right? Nobody's dying. Chayiv, the Torah tells you, go help him out. Of course, when it comes to unloading a collapsing animal, we have both factors. The animal's suffering, the chasar kiss, and he's about to lose his property. Like Toshkin, of course, you're meant to come to the rescue. So why does the Torah even have to bother speaking about unloading? So why did the Torah spell it out? To tell you there's a distinction. Unloading is a desperate, critical situation. You can't charge for that. But loading up, very nice, I'll help you. But I charge a fee. Reb Shimon disagrees. My timer, why does he say that in both cases it's for free? Because truthfully, says Reb Shimon, you can't tell me the Torah should have sufficed with loading and I would know unloading. Because I don't even know which pasuk is loading, which pasuk is unloading. Therefore, the pasuk has to bring out both. So I know that, in fact, you're obligated to load as well. But of course, both for free. Asks the Gemara, Rabbanan respond, what do you mean the psukim aren't clearly indicative of what activity they're referring to? Of course they are. Right? When the pasuk speaks about unloading, it describes the animal as collapsing beneath its load. Obviously, you're trying to unload. Versus the other case where you're helping him load up, the pasuk describes it as a situation where they're deramu inhu v'tunaya b'urcha. They're both on the road, meaning everything's down on bottom. The animal and his load are on the floor, meaning basically it's unloaded, right? So deramu inu v'tunai b'urcha mashma. So yeah, it's pretty clear that one is speaking about unloading, one's speaking about loading. Reb Shimon responds, no, it's not so clear. Neiflim baderech can mean inu utunai alayu mashma. They're collapsing because they have them, they're load on them, and they're falling apart, right? Right. So basically, it can mean one way or the other. We're not sure even that that it would mean loading up. So basically, bottom line, Rav Shimon says if the pasuk would only speak about one, I would say it means an animal who is already loaded and you're trying to unload him because he's about to collapse, right? I would know that there's a mitzvah to load up. That's why the Torah has to bring out both points. One is loading, one is unloading. But there's no difference. At the end of the day, you have to do them both as a mitzvah free of charge. Amar Rav. Now, both seem to agree pretty clearly that unloading is more important. Right? Right? And if it would clearly say that you meant to help him load up, I would know on my own that you have to help him unload. Right? Everybody agrees in concept that unloading is more critical. Why? Tsar balachaim daraisa. Caring for a distressed animal is a Torah obligation. Even Reb Shimon, who explained to us that the Torah does have to spell out prika, which means to help him unload, that's only because otherwise I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know that you have to help him load. Right? I would say that if there's only one pasuk, it's going on unloading. That's why Torah has to spell out both. One is for loading, one is for unloading. But suppose the Torah would be clear-cut in the way it's describing things. Meaning, it would spell out, help him load, unambiguously, help him load. I would just use a kal v'chomer and deduce from that certainly I have to help him unload. Why? Mishum mai, why? Lav mishum tsar balachaim darshinan. Apparently because of the tsar balachaim concept. Right? So kal v'chomer would be based on the fact that tsar balachaim is a no-no, and if I have to help him load, which doesn't involve alleviating pain, certainly unloading is very critical because of tsar balachaim factor. So clearly tsar balachaim is minatir. Well, who says dilma mishum dika chesaron kis? Perhaps the kal v'chomer would not be based on tsar balachaim. That's not minatir. It would be based on the fact that when an animal is overloaded and collapsing, there's a risk of financial loss. That's why it's more critical. And that's the kal v'chomer would be presented like this: Umateina. If you tell me that even helping him load up is a mitzvah, the last b'chasaron kis, which doesn't involve financial loss, the animal is safe and sound, nobody is suffering. Chayev, he has to help him load up. Prika, of course, when the animal is overloaded and about to fall apart, the is b'chasaron kis, and he's about to experience financial loss. Localfile, of course, you have to help him out. So who says it's because of the tsar balachaim factor? Maybe it's based on the financial loss factor. Asks the Gemara, what do you mean? Financial loss is only a factor by prika and not by te'ina. U'te'ina ein b'chasaron kis. Why? Who says there's no risk of financial loss by te'ina? Can't we be speaking that perhaps the fellow is rushing to the market and he needs help loading up? So that also involves financial loss. Inami or also ganvi v'shakli kol ma'deika b'adei. Perhaps he's sitting on the highway and he's about to be highway robbed, unless he quickly gets his act together and gets moving. Right? So you can't propose that the advantage of Prika over Te'ina is based on Chesar and Kis, because that factor applies evenly to both. So which advantage does apply to Prika over Te'ina? I.e., how would we even think of presenting a Kal V'chomer? Must be because we insert the Tzar Balachayim factor, which is prevalent by Prika, not by Te'ina. And again, the point would be if the Torah would say Te'ina, which doesn't have Tzar Balachayim, certainly Prika, which does involve Tzar Balachayim, and Teda will prove even further the Tzar Balachayim D'Oraisa. The Tani Sefer, look at the Mishnah, basically the Eimer. In contrast to the Tanakama, which we presume is Tanakama and Reb Shimon, right? We have Reb Yosef who says, well, look, if the owner overloaded his animal, you don't have to go have pity on him. Shnemar tachas masa'oi, right? It has to be, appropriately sized, an appropriately sized load. Masa'oi she'achal lamed boy, right? Otherwise, leave him alone. That's his opinion. Apparently, Tanakama disagrees. Even if he was overloaded, you have to come to the rescue. Why? It's the owner's fault. Answer is, we disregard the owner. Our concern now is the animal's distress. My time malab mishum b'tzar balachayim is deraisa. Well, says the Gemara, not necessarily so. Dilma b'tachas masai pligi. Maybe it's just a question of how to learn the psukim. Pasuk says tachas masoi, right? Rabbi Yosef Savar darshina tachas masoi to learn to teach us masoi sheyochalamid boy. Only if it's an appropriately sized load, then you have to come to the rescue. Rabbi Savar, they hold no darshina and tachas masoi. We don't focus on tachas masoi. It doesn't teach us this point. And in fact, let's try to prove the other way now. Teda, I'll prove to you that Tzar Balachayim is not lav deiraisa. Why? Tani Reisha. Because look at the Mishnah. Back up to the beginning of the Mishnah. Holach v'yashav loy. The owner abandoned his animal. He says, look. Hey, thanks for coming to help. I want you to work for me. Since you have a mitzvah to unload, praik. Be my guest, do it. In this case, he doesn't have to do it. Potter, shenamar imoy. You have to help him if he's involved. Now, let's stop for a second. That addresses, your obligation to the owner. What about the animal's distress? If that's the case, who cares what the owner is doing or not doing? Who cares if the owner is around with him? Or if the owner is disregarding the story? Right? So apparently, Tzar Balachayim is not Deiraisa. No, says the Gemara, we can go the other way. Perhaps it is a Deiraisa concern. Do you think that the Mishnah means that the owner is not participating in the effort? You're exempt? No, that's not what it means. Perhaps the Mishnah just means like this: when the owner is uninvolved, pater b'chinam, then you don't have to offer your services free of charge. If he's not even lending a hand, but b'chay b'schar, you still have to help him out. You can demand payment for offering him that service, but you're meant to step in because of tzar balachayim. And Torah just means like this: if the owner is participating in the effort, avad gabei b'chinam, help him out for free. If the owner is disengaged, avad gabei b'schar, you have to still do the same thing, but you can charge for it because Elohim tzar balachayim is their rice. So we're not sure which way to go. Perhaps we can prove that tzar balachayim is their rice. Brisa says a non-Jewish animal, if he's in trouble, you have to tend to it, care for it, just like a behema of Yisrael. End of halacha. Now, if tzar balachayim is a Torah concern, now it makes sense. That explains why you have to tend to the Goyish animal, just like you would to the Jewish animal, because of the concern for the animal. But it's not in Torah. So if it's a Yisrael driver, fine. So there's that concern for our fellow Yid. But otherwise, if it's not a Yisrael driver, so why do I have that same obligation? Well, says the Gemara, there's another factor to consider. Hasar mishum eva, animosity. We have to be careful not to arouse animosity between the non-Yisrael driver, and therefore you have to step in. I'll prove in fact that's what's driving us right now is the eva concern, not tzar balachayim, but rather the animosity, the risk of animosity. Because the Mishnah continues, the Brisa continues. True, even if it's a non-Yisrael driving, you have to help him out. But if the animal was laden with wine, which is asur, yain nesach, asur, tuna yain asur, right? Ein zakik lo. In this case, leave it alone. So that makes sense if Ava is what's motivating us, because then you could sort of excuse yourself that you're not allowed to be involved in this, right? You can explain yourself and you'll avoid the animosity. This is all good and well. It works very well if you say that Tzar B'al Chaim is not Menatera. So that's not the driving factor here. That's not what's obligating you. Rather, it's the Ava. So now when it's Yain, which is forbidden, there's no Ava, because the guy understands that you're not allowed to do that. Eli Amris the Raisa, but if the driving force is the animals, the concern for the animal, so who cares if it's Yain Nesa? The fact is the animal's suffering. No, the Raisa just meant like this. The animal's not collapsing beneath its wine. We're speaking about loading up the wine. But if it's a matter of helping the guy load up the wine, which is asur, in this case, you don't have to help him out. So basically, the whole raya fell apart. Okay, because perhaps Tzar B'al Chaim is da'iraisa, but when it speaks about exempting you with the yayin, because in this case, you're loading up. Loading up does not involve Tzar B'al Chaim. Tashma comes another raya. Hemas. Oived kechav. Umasa Yisrael. Have a behem of a guy, which is carrying a load owned by a Yisrael. V'chadalta. The pasuk uses the word v'chadalta in this context to tell you can refrain. You don't have to get involved. However, if our concern is the animal's distress, how can you just step back? The mitzvah other tazim should apply. I should proceed. I should offer my assistance. Well, says the Gemara, perhaps it is a deraisa concern. This halacha, this price is speaking about helping him load the animal, which doesn't involve tzar b'al chaim. So now I can just step back if it's a behem of a guy. If in fact we're speaking about loading up, let's move on to the next part of the price. It's a behema owned by Yisrael, and the load belongs to the guy. Here the pasuk says, Oziv Taziv, step in and help him load up. Hold it. Why? If we're speaking about uploading, Amai Oziv Taziv, why are you obligated to do so? Right? Well, it says the Gemara Mishum Tzar di Yisrael, because the driver is a Yid, and he has to wait around. He's in distress. Okay? So it's because of the person, not because of the animal. Yochi, if the concern is because of the driver's distress, afil reisha nami. So what happened in the first part of the brayse? It was a behem of a guy, a master of Yisrael, your potter. Why? What about the driver who's in distress? Over there, the driver is not a yid. Reisha, b'chamar eved kechavim. There we're speaking about a driver who's a guy, so we don't have that obligation. Seifa b'chamar Yisrael. Whereas in the second part of the brayse, the driver is a yid. My paskas, how does the brayse know to make that absolute, distinction? Who says that in the first part, with the animal belongs to the guy, the driver is the guy, and the second part, the animal belongs to the yid, the driver is the who says? Well, says the Gemara, naturally speaking, typically, right? Stammer the milsa typically inish basa chamri asel, right? A person follows his donkey, he's associated with his donkey. Basically, if it's a yiddish donkey, the driver typically is a yid, and therefore there's a concern in terms of distressing him, whereas in the case of the behem of the guy, we assume the driver is a guy as well, and therefore you're pata. Asks the Gemara, how can you suggest that these words of chadalta and azev tazev is speaking in the context of uploading, as you just interpreted? If you look at the pasuk, we're speaking about the animal collapsing beneath a load. Chadalta, azev tazev, all these expressions, beprika hu dichsiv, they're speaking about unloading an overloaded animal. Right? So basically this whole pshat doesn't work. So back to the question. The animal's overloaded. Why does the brayse exempt you if it's a behem of a guy? What happened to tzar b'al chaim? Forget about the personal factor. The animal's in distress. Amalei, he says like this. Yeah, actually you're right. But this brayse must be Rabbi Yehuda who says, the Amar tzar b'al chaim la deraisa. Meaning, according to Rabbi Yehuda, certainly we have proven that tzar b'al chaim is not medaraisa. The fact is, now Mishnah says, if the load doesn't match the capacity of the animal, he's overloaded, you don't have to go help him out. What do you mean? The animal's in distress. Apparently he certainly holds tzar b'al chaim is lav deraisa. Our question wasn't regarding his shita. We wanted to know regarding the other shita, Rabbanon or Shimon, and that we haven't yet proven. Toshma, here comes another right. Another attempt at a riot. Brisa says, a person's faced with a choice. One animal needs to be unloaded. One needs to be uploaded. Now the thing is, there's another factor involved. Oyev lifreik. The animal needs to be unloaded, belongs to your good friend. So, on the one hand, the animal's in distress. That should compel you to turn that way. But he's your friend, so the mitzvah isn't so big. Versus the other animal who needs to be uploaded, that belongs to your enemy. V'soinei litain. Which one should you go to? Mitzvah v'soinei k'dei lokav es Yisrael. Listen to this. You should turn to the animal that needs to be uploaded and help out your enemy, to overcome your animosity, to develop your midas. That's more important. Says the Gemara, hold it. What happened to Tzar Balei Chaim? The other animal is collapsing in distress. Shouldn't that take priority? No. Says the Gemara, personal development is of even higher priority. Unbelievable. Tashma, comes another right. So we figure that when the Brisa refers to an enemy, it's going on the Saini of the Pasuk. The Pasuk says if you see your enemy's donkey crouching, right? Saini Yisrael was speaking about a Yisrael who you dislike. As opposed to a guy who you dislike. Right? So basically you're obligated to help the animal belonging to the Yisrael, not the guys. Hold it. If we hold that Tzar Balei Chaim is that there is a concern, Mali Saini Yisrael, Mali Saini Gechavim. Who cares who it belongs to, a yid or a goy? It's the animal that concerns us. Answers the Gemara, Mi Savar Sasaini Dekroi Koi. You thought that the Brisa was going on the word Saini in the Pasuk. No, it's not going on that Pasuk. That Pasuk is speaking about an animal in distress, overloaded, which would involve Tzar Balei Chaim. No, not going on that case. Saini de Masnisin Koi. It's going on that Brisa earlier, which also made reference to a Saini, which is speaking about uploading an animal, and there, right? And there, the Brisa points out that if it's a Saini, it has to be a dafka, a Saini, a yid, not a Saini, a guy. Again, we're not speaking about unloading, which would involve Tzar Balei Chaim, rather uploading, where Tzar Balei Chaim is not a factor. Okay, let's quickly summarize. We have the Mishnah in terms of location, what constitutes an Aveda. In the Refus is not a concern. In the Rosh Hashanah there is. We learned about loading and uploading. According to Tanakam, it's all for free. According to Reb Shimon, uploading you can charge for. And we started the sugya whether Tzar Balei Chaim is min Torah or only mit Rabbanan. We have yet to continue Be'ez Hashem tomorrow. All the best to you and Hatzlacha Rabbah.